Yeah, so like the moon was hollow.
The Earth is flat. Well, prove it. Okay, here we go. Here's some more footage of the Earth from outer space. This is a private balloon that was sent up to outer space. This isn't NASA. This isn't the government. This is just a normal person that wanted to see what it looks like. And oh, what do you know? It's absolutely flat from up there. And it's just funny because if
I mean, it does look flat, but it also isn't enough of the planet to potentially see the curvature. Like, I'm not necessarily against flat Earth or a globe, whatever you want to call it, but that's not enough. I don't think. I don't know your guys' opinion, but that could easily still be a globe. Does look different to what NASA shows you, though.
if it's curved, I mean, you got to understand that if it's curved, it would be curved, and it isn't. And people just love to say, "Well, it's curved." Then they say, "Well, you can't see it from far away." And then you have people saying, "You can see it with your naked eye. You can see it from an airplane." You can't see it. You can't.
I mean, that around the outside there, just underneath where you can see the sun, that could just be light or some sort of gas making it seem flatter. It could just the Earth could be curving underneath that. You know what I mean? Again, I'm not trying to debunk flat Earth. That is good evidence of flat Earth. I'm just saying it could still be a globe.
Can't see it from hundreds of thousands of feet. You can't see it here because it's not curved. That's all. Very simple. We've been deceived. Learn about it and understand why. Understand who controls the narrative. Understand that people like George Soros own all the news. Understand that it only takes a few people that own everything to create whatever fantasy land they want and then hand it to us. And that's what we see. That's what we get taught. That's what we believe. It's that simple. Because the fact of the matter is, when you try to find the curve, you can't. There isn't one.
I mean, it's interesting. It doesn't look curved. What would be the main reason to deceive us on the shape of the Earth? I wonder. To make us seem lesser than we really are.
The moon isn't a rock, okay? The first time I ever went over to the moon, at that point, I'd only ever remote viewed on planet.
Okay, let's stop straight away. This woman claims to be a astral projector or a remote viewer. I think they're basically the same thing. I don't understand how she can just casually discuss this on a podcast. I've seen a couple videos of her recently. But before we get into this, I wanna start by saying I don't necessarily believe her, but it is kind of creepy.
On Earth stuff, I never even thought of going off planet to remote view. But then this Pleiadian being came into my room and said, there's a meeting in 2 days' time, and I want to take you to this meeting. And I said, okay, I'm down. And I wasn't sure, are they going to physically abduct me and take me to the meeting? Am I going in my remote view body, my astral body? And I followed him with my astral body. I'm going off planet. All of a sudden, we're going towards the moon. I'm like, oh, cool. It's a meeting on the moon. No. It was a meeting inside the moon.
What?
So literally, he keeps going, and then he's going in the moon. And I'm like, can I do this? Can we just travel right through a planet? What's going on? And so we go in the moon, and it's hollow. There was this huge hollowed out space in the moon, and there was all these beings. We're talking hundreds of thousands of interdimensional beings sitting in this sort of auditorium inside the moon.
What?
I know. And then there was all these astral bodies that were floating around, and I could see that their grounding cord all led them back to Earth. So I'm like, I'm one of the Earth beings that are here that are called to this meeting. And that was my first introduction to the Galactic Federation.
Now, why, if she is chosen to be someone to have meetings at the moon, why would she be just doing a podcast? And why would she be so chill about it? Imagine if you were someone of that importance and you didn't know, you wasn't necessarily born into that. You would be somewhat distraught trying to share the message. You wouldn't just be casually on a podcast. Yeah, so the moon was hollow. I have a hard time believing this.
This is the biggest unsolved mystery in music history. 4 world-famous artists, 4 deaths under troubling circumstances. Tim Bergling, Chester Bennington, Anthony Bourdain, Chris Cornell, they were all closely connected, and almost all of them died mysteriously within the same year. But there's something even crazier. All 4 were secretly working on a documentary called Silent Children. In one of my last videos, I told you about the dark story behind DJ Avicii and the many warnings he tried to give about child trafficking, but no one listened. And Avicii wasn't the only one. 3 other artists also tried to expose what they knew and what they had seen. Strangely, right after announcing they were working on Silent Children, they all disappeared within roughly the same time frame. Chester Bennington and Chris Cornell died in 2017, Avicii and Anthony Bourdain in 2018. It's as if someone made sure they were silenced before they could reveal the truth. The Silent Children documentary was eventually released in 2020, 2 years after their deaths. If you think about it for just 10 seconds, you'll realize that the film was likely edited for 2 years before its release to remove the most sensitive information. Yeah, this is the truth, and nobody talks about it.
And we see this so often now in the world. People have certain information and they just suddenly disappear. I mean, when's enough enough? Like, when do we start realizing like someone is out there stopping information coming out?
You're saying humans are just lab rats, that something or someone is keeping us in check?
I mean, hell yeah, think about it. Every time we get too close to a major breakthrough, something happens. Let's start with the Great Library of Alexandria.
Right, the library that had knowledge from across the ancient world burned down?
Exactly, but do you really think it was just an accident? That place had texts on medicine, engineering, even possible blueprints for machines we only rediscovered centuries later. If that knowledge survived, we could have had the Industrial Revolution thousands of years earlier.
So you think someone erased it? Why?
Because we weren't meant to progress too fast. Look at the Maya. They had advanced knowledge of astronomy, mathematics, even concepts of zero before most civilizations. Then they just vanished. Their cities left abandoned overnight. Or take Nikola Tesla. He was working on wireless energy that could make electricity free for everyone. But his funding, cut. His lab mysteriously burned down. We're in a giant lab watched from above for entertainment purpose only.
I've not personally actually heard of the Great Library of Alexandria yet. I need to look into that for sure. Are we in a simulation? I mean, there's a lot of evidence to suggest we are. And mainstream scientists these days are kind of leaning towards that now. And if we are a simulation from who? From God or from another race? Or are we in a video game right now? Are we just NPCs?
The movie The Matrix is not science fiction. It's a documentary. Every human, and it's a fact, every human first 7 years is download a hypnosis. The brain of a child under 7 is in a lower vibrational frequency. When you put wires on a person's head, you read electroencephalograph, reading brain activity. A child below 7 has a lower vibration than consciousness. It's called theta. Theta is imagination. Oh, that's how kids play a tea party with mud pies. But to them, it's a real thing. A kid rides a broom. It's a horse. That's theta, imagination. Theta is also hypnosis. And the idea is this. Before you can become conscious, if you don't have any programs, what are you going to be conscious of?
I've heard a lot of information on the idea of 7-year life cycles. So every 7 years, we kind of progress into a new cycle. I think it's more of a spiritual thing, but it's nice to know that science kind of links to that. So at least the first 7 years is proof that we are in a different cycle. Clearly suggests how important it is to look after your kids in them precious ages, because obviously whatever happens in those 7 years will affect you for life.
Do you know what really helps? Creatine, apparently.
Does it?
Yeah, creatine is actually a nootropic, believe it or not. There's a lot of like benefits of creatine that are really weird.
Are there any downsides?
No,
might as well
it's
just have
a
it.
natural part of food. Yeah, especially women. For women, apparently, especially postmenopausal women, it's very beneficial.
Okay.
But there's a lot of like cognitive benefits, and one of the big ones that they found recently is performance when sleep deprived.
Oh,
Mental
okay.
performance when sleep deprived increases pretty measurably when you supplement with creatine.
I've been taking creatine for 20 years probably, on and off, and I never knew that it helped you with your brain as well. That's good to know.
What is the God frequency?
963 hertz.
9 plus 6 plus 3, that's 18. 1 plus 8 is 9. The whole set of these numbers, pretty much like, think of it, 432, 4 plus 3 plus 2, 9. 7920, 7 plus 9 plus 2, 18. Look at the yugas. I said 864,000 for the Dwapara Yuga. 8 plus 6 plus 4, 18. 1 plus 8 is 9. The Treta Yuga, 1,296,000. So 1 plus 2 plus 9 plus 6, 18. 1 plus 8 is 9, over and over again.
This numerology stuff kind of goes over my head, I won't lie. But with the whole frequency stuff, especially with what's just come out with pyramids, I'm going to do a video on that tomorrow. Clearly, in the past, frequency was a massive importance in healing and stuff. Like, I don't know if anyone knew the church windows you see, these weird kind of patterns and stuff. They actually were back in the day to depict what type of frequency that church held. So if you wanted to heal in a certain way, you would go to a certain church based on the windows. Like, clearly frequency was so important at some point in life, and it's just disappeared now. Like, I've even heard that recent, or at least in my lifetime, hip hop has changed, or music has changed. Like, I think Jimi Hendrix used to do his music in a certain frequency, and around that time things kind of changed to kind of lower vibrations. Definitely something to look into. I need to know more about it myself.
You have a photo of the ET? Yes, ET was about 2 feet from me, 3 feet from me. Sort of very triangular head, about 5.5 feet tall. Popped in, we saw this red light come right into our circle, and then a photograph taken, and this ET is standing right beside this man, and he had permanent hearing loss since he was a teenager, and he was fixed that night by this ET. That's a true story.
Were you there?
Yeah, I was there. So we're dealing with civilizations that are, 100,000 to a few million years ahead of us. If people had known the truth about this 50, 60 years ago, we wouldn't be, like in kindergarten still. So that blackened area is sort of a bubble in space-time, and you can see the people on either side of him. We just turned up the contrast. Very large head, sort of triangular shape, has a sort of a cloth tunic that's lit up. He's holding some object, and this man right next to him to the left of how you're looking had his hearing healed. So I mean, you say, oh, there's a wacky story. It's a beautiful story. It just happened a couple years ago.
What am I looking at? Did he just say that photo was whilst he was bending space-time? I don't see anything but blur. And this is what we have to hold on to. So guys like Stephen Greer are like the main guys in this. And he doesn't give you anything. It's like he's making a business out of teasing the public, basically. Like, nothing real ever seems to come out. I might be eating my words soon because this might be the year. But this just doesn't make sense to me. What is that? But that's it for today. More tomorrow. Take it easy. Peace.